Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Good day. I don't know. Good night. Whatever time it is for you. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We'll just have another chill Warframe day while we wait for Dredge to hit on Thursday. So 2 days from now, we'll try out Dredge and see how that game will be. Pretty excited about that. But we'll just we'll do a little bit of Warframe, man, for a couple of days just to tide us over till we get into that. Hope everybody's doing well. You know what we got to do first, though. We're going to hop into this video gaming news segment. What's up, Ferret? For today, March 28th, baby. So let's go ahead and hop in here. Let's do what we do and see what's going on in the world of video games. Cool? I'm sorry, buddy. All right, dude. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. This is what we're listening to this morning. Subnautica soundtrack. Very cool survival, adventure, base building, resource gathering, mostly aquatic, submersive aquatic type game. Very cool game and very cool soundtrack, man. So go check it out. All right. There we go. Feels bad, man. Wick, what's up, dude? Yeah, it's a rough situation, man.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
We will get them next time, dude. Yeah, brother. I was wondering, yo, Mamzo, what's up, my friend? How are you? What is up? I'm surprised, dude, that motherboard doesn't have the flashback utility on it, dude. To be able to just that's really stupid that they have there's some of those motherboards that you can't just update the BIOS, dude. When the only other way to get it done if you're trying to run a newer CPU on the motherboards that came out before the BIOS, the motherboards that were created with the new BIOS on them, is to have an old CPU that was supported originally, boot it up, install a newer BIOS, then remove the CPU, then put your newer CPU on. So, it sucks, dude. That sucks. I didn't hear any more from you last night, so I figured you were kind of done with it by that point last night. But if you need help finding a board, dude, I'll try to help you find one tonight or something, man. But let me know, okay? Or if you decide to go a different direction with it or whatever, I don't know, man. But I was afraid that that might have ended up being the case, and it looks like after some of that research, that's some other people were having the same exact issue as you, so it's probably the case. Rah Rah Boom is a heartfelt take on a classic beat 'em up genre. Let's take a look at that. What's this, dude? Yeah, that's what I figured this was going to be about. Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Let's take a look at that. And check this out. Here you go. Wick will want to chime in on this one. Ubisoft is no longer attending E3. Wow. Big surprise. And will host its own event in June. I guarantee you that's June because that's when all the summer showcases happen. And that's when E3 normally happens, but hasn't happened for the past 3 years. And therefore, a lot of developers and publishers don't care to be a part of it anymore. So I've kind of been calling this. We already know that Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox won't be a part of E3. They're going to have their own events like they've had to do over the past 3 years. They'll continue to do that. E3 will not be the convention it ever was. Not to say there won't still potentially be some publishers and well played, Wick. Publishers and developers that'll be a part of it, but it just won't be the same thing that it once was. It just won't. They can't be. They're not reliable. They can't be relied upon to have that convention. So that event. But There we go. I don't think it's even worth diving into that. They're just in the same boat as a lot of these other developers and publishers. They're gonna hold their own event like so many have. Oh, really? Yo, interesting, Tinwin. Okay, what's up, buddy? Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, I don't. I'd seen this before. It wasn't something that was really on my playlist or anything. But is this like a this wasn't like a shadow release date drop or anything, right? I mean, we knew this game was coming, but had they not announced this release date previously? Okay, you were just letting everybody know it was coming today. Cool, man. Thanks, thanks, dude. Right on. It does look like a cool game. Don't get me wrong. Um, looks like a cool title. It's just not. It's not my one of my types of genre that I get super hyped about or anything. So I wasn't necessarily planning on diving into it. But cool, man. Right on. Yeah, like it looks like city builder puzzle kind of. You can see it's gonna have like a bit of that terraforming. I think maybe city building puzzle esque because you have to. If I remember, I've seen the trailer for it. You have to find ways to work around environment puzzles to get certain things done. To um, like you can see they were running lava through different canals. You need to get different kinds of um, things done for whatever you're trying to get powered and things like that for different kinds of biomes and stuff. I think it's one of those kinds of deals. It does look cool. It does look cool. So yeah, thanks, man. Neat. Very very cool. There are a lot of people that dig those types of games, so there's probably a little bit of hype around that. We've seen it. When did that we first see that, dude? It was like maybe back in the Game Awards. I think that might have been a one of their things they showed off back around the Game Awards time. 25 sheesh. You're a trip, dude. It does look like a cool title within that genre. Let's see what else we got. That's right, dude. You know what else pops off today? Any of you T-Mobile customers, dude? Anybody that's got a T-Mobile plan for their mobile provider, you beginning today and for I think the next week, you can get, if you're a sports fan, you can get a free year of MLB.TV. So if you didn't know that, T-Mobile is a big sponsor of the Major League Baseball, and they do this every year. So if you are part of their platform, if you are a part of their service, you have their mobile. They are your mobile provider. They do what's called T-Mobile Tuesdays, and every year since they've become a big sponsor for Major League Baseball, during this week right now, they give away a free year of MLB.TV, which is like I don't know, around $120 to $140 free like subscription you get for the year. So if you're interested, that's out there. Sure. But you've got to be a subscriber to their mobile service. They've got to be your provider. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's dropping today, man. You got to get that. You got to get that PC built up, dude. Got to get that PC built up, man. Did you settle on a motherboard yet? There's another game that dropped last night. Hold on. There was another game that dropped last night that was on my wish list actually. It's a Metroidvania game. Looks like it's doing okay right now. Nine Years of Shadows. This dropped yesterday. Very positive. 84% of 100 user reviews right now. So if you're into Metroidvanias, then this might be something worth checking out. It's 20% off right now for a release sale introductory offer, and I don't know, might be worth a check. Who knows? Yeah, he did. So I did some research last night, Ferret, and a lot of people were having the same issue with that same light, and it was due to the BIOS on that same exact motherboard not supporting the 5900X yet. Like I said, he bought that motherboard a long time ago. Fried the motherboard. But what sucks is that motherboard that he has doesn't have the BIOS flashback utility on it, dude. So he can't flashback that BIOS. He can't update the BIOS without actually having a supported CPU in there first to boot it up, update the BIOS, pull the CPU back off, and then put the 5900X in there. So that's something that I didn't know was not part of the package there. Yeah, that sucks, dude. I know. I did some research last night. I trudged through some Reddit for him, and I found the same people, same CPU, same motherboard, same exact issue. But it was a good thought, dude. It really was. The checking the RAM thing was definitely something that needed to be checked before going, well, it's probably needed a BIOS update because of the 5900 not being supported on it. You went ahead and got another one already. All right. So yeah, because I sent him the instructions originally to go ahead and get the go through the process of flashback in the BIOS, but unfortunately the motherboard that he has or had originally doesn't have the utility on it to flash it. Man, feels bad. Might return and get a better one. Word. So yeah, that's a crappy situation, man. That's a crappy which whenever I went into building my PC at the beginning of 2021, I knew that was a pretty good potential for because I was going to be putting a 5900X in mine, and I knew there was a good potential that whatever motherboard I was going to get wasn't going to have a BIOS supported, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to flash that thing without having to have any kind of display or anything like that. So I made sure and got a motherboard that had that utility on it just because. But I thought most of them had it nowadays anyways. It just feels bad, man. It's a rough situation. Like not everybody just has like another risen CPU sitting around to just, pop in there. But it's also where quite often research is key. So anybody that's planning on building a PC, research is key. Make sure you've got all the ins and outs really down of what you're doing when you're picking out your hardware and stuff to make sure you don't run into those kind of little weird issues like that. Don't pull a wick, man. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that was unfortunate, dude. That was unfortunate. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm just messing, dude. I'm just messing around, bro. Yeah. That's funny.
Alright, that one was on me.
Absolutely. There you go, Mamzo. Yeah. It is dumb. I agree. I mean, it just sucks. It's a bad situation. I mean, yeah, it's what it is. Is it's the same socket, so it's the same chipset. But what happens is, there are an amount of processors that come out, and they're all supported whenever these motherboards first get created, and then it's like these other processors come out later, and they're not supported by those old BIOSes. And so it's just a bad situation. It's not necessarily intended to be an encumbrance or hard to work around. It just kind of happens, and it's not. But ultimately, the fact that, dude, like flashback utilities on motherboards have been there for a very long time, and they should all just kind of have it, to make sure that nobody runs into those kinds of issues, because it's not easy to get a BIOS updated on a motherboard without it, unless you have a bunch of other like CPUs just lying around that you can throw in there, boot everything up. Unless you're like doing this kind of stuff all the time, then you're not going to have that kind of hardware just sitting around to do that kind of stuff. So it does feel a bit bad. They need to get to a point where all these motherboards just have it on them. Many of them do, but obviously not all, right? Yeah, there you go. I thought you might do that, dude. I had to do it on mine, dude. I had to do it on mine. I knew that I was pretty positive that my motherboard was not going to support my 5900. I had to do it on mine. I had the same kind of issue. Mine wouldn't boot or anything. Um, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't know what was in her PC, dude, but yeah. And it's not I mean they've got really good instructions, man, on like websites to go through, like Asus's website, because that's the motherboard that I have, to go through that process of, because dude, you literally don't even have to like have um the PC built up or anything. It's a very, very simple base level process where the motherboard will recognize the executable file as it's plugged into a very specific port on the motherboard, and if that specific executable is in there and it's got the correct name attached to it, it'll run it and it'll update the BIOS. It's very easy. It's just a matter of having another PC to go grab the file and put the right name, rename it to the right name, and stuff like that. It's not a hard process, and they've got really good instructions on like Asus's website for doing it on their motherboards and things like that. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Um, but it sucks that they've got like some of their motherboards that have that utility and then some that don't. Whenever this is the situation that constantly happens with CPU manufacturers, you've got a chipset that comes out, a socket, and then they make new CPUs that aren't supported by the BIOS that these motherboards have come out with. It's not hard at all, dude. It's not hard at all. But I mean, it's very difficult if you don't have that option, right? It's very difficult to get that done if the flashback utility is not on your motherboard. Wick can attest to that, dude. Yeah. See what else we got. Steam is going to ditch Windows 7 and 8 support next year. Dude, how are they still supporting these operating systems? Windows 7 and 8 have not been supported by Microsoft in years now, which means that they have significant vulnerabilities, man. You better not. Don't you do it. So I was telling Wick last night, I was like, don't trash that motherboard. He's like, I already did it. I broke it in half. I was like, no. So this is the same thing that happened here recently with Epic. Epic was like, yo, Fortnite's no longer going to support Windows 7 and 8. I was like, Fortnite still supports like Windows 7 and 8 operating systems? Look, here's the thing. I mean, you would probably, This is a weird situation for people that are techies. People that are techies go, nobody should be running a Windows 7 or 8 computer that is still connected to the internet. That's a fact. Unless you're like running some kind of virtual, box that you're trying to like do specific things with, or you're running a system that you need, it's got specific applications that you require for a business or something, maybe you're not attaching it to the internet. The fact of the matter is Windows 7 and 8 are no longer supported by Microsoft, which means they're not being updated and they present significant vulnerabilities. So if you're attaching a Windows 7 or a Windows 8 computer to the internet, you are at a huge risk for getting hacked, viruses, you name it, malware, malicious content. I mean, you can't. It's such a bad idea. And I find it kind of wild that like I didn't even know Steam still supported it. That's crazy. Because ultimately it's like the more online stuff you're doing within these operating systems that are no longer supported by like Microsoft themselves, the more at risk you are anyways. So it's kind of crazy, but we'll pull it up. I just didn't know that they were still supporting that long after the manufacturer quit supporting these operating systems. It's kind of wild. I'm really stoked to see the Tetris show. Actually, I'm hoping it's going to be good. By the way, this is not a show about blocks that are dropping, like you play the game. It's about the events based around the development of the video game and everything. Right. Right. Yeah. Hey, Ferret, dude, I'll tell you this, man. I've worked in bro. I I worked for a little while in a networking environment where this shop was still using, like, I think I probably told you this. They were still using laptops, old laptops, dude, with like Windows. I think it was they were using Windows 95. Windows 95. Now they didn't connect to the internet, so that's like what I was saying. They never ever connected to the internet, but they were still using these Windows 95 PCs to console into routers and switches, dude. It was like I couldn't believe it, bro. And this was not very long ago, man. This was not very long ago. And Windows 98 is fine. Yeah, Mithril, what's up, buddy? Dude, and I'm telling you, this is like, I don't know. It was mind blowing, dude. Really. What was crazy is it was an organization that I'm not going to name names or anything, but I never would have expected it. There was like literally no redundancy going on. They were using these old archaic systems to like console in and manage these systems, and it was it was gross, dude. It was gross, and I couldn't really believe it. It was really wild. Yeah, I think until you actually, I mean, there are a lot of businesses that run on that kinds of stuff, right? Yeah, I mean, but especially when you're talking about like a I don't know, that it is a tough balance, no doubt. It is a tough balance for sure. Um, but usually, I mean, usually the older something is, the less supported it is, the less, which means the more advanced stuff that other people have, they've found easier ways to if things are connected to a network, the easier it is to get in there and mess with stuff, or find vulnerabilities and openings to get into, and especially in a network, a network shop, dude. Maintaining a massive network, by the way, massive network, and it was like, oh my god, dude, like what is this? Like, what is happening here? It was kind of crazy, dude. Um, it was infrastructure. It was like an entire infrastructure shop, dude. That was just it was actually really really scary to see how 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 old and non-redundant and just broken it was, man. And it was like, oh my god. Uh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was one of those situations where it was like, I think they had just gotten too comfortable with how everything had been for such a long time, and I don't disagree with you in the fact of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there's definitely something to be said for needing to kind of evolve with the way technology evolves. Um, you don't have to necessarily be always on the latest and greatest, but to an extent, you also can't die off with, you can't you can't just never ever upgrade either. So there's got to be a balance there somewhere. And bro, this was some crazy crazy old stuff. Yeah. Um, I've dude Mithril. That's another thing that's hard for businesses. Is there a lot of time businesses get software that'll be built up to run on specific like operating systems and platforms and stuff, and they don't want to upgrade because they don't want to fork over the cost to have that software rebuilt or built. That's kind of what Ferret was talking about earlier. You know what I mean? To have it built back up to run on newer systems. And you'll see it all the time, and you'll go into businesses, they'll still be running old stuff like you're talking about, man, just all the way across, and it's like, yikes, dude, because that stuff is connected to networks, and it's really really, and you wonder why people are getting flipping hacked all the time, and people's information's getting stolen all the time. Right, Ferret, yeah, dude, yeah, yeah. I'll get off that, dude. Let's get back into the gaming news. Sorry. You guys are getting me off into a the other part of my brain, dude. Outside of the gaming part. PS Plus subscribers losing 10 games in April. Switch Online is giving users free access to games. All right, we'll see what it is. BioWare finally gives update on Mass Effect 4 release date? What? So, 4 years from now? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, yeah, I know, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's another thing that's hard. I think it's different for us that have been ingrained and have naturally tech based minds and everything too. I mean, this is our world. This is what we do, and so we're interested in it, and we know the ins and outs. And then you talk about you talk about uh the people that you're trying to help, and even as good as somebody might be at being able to try and translate the tech jargon over to these individuals that you're trying to build systems up for and everything. A lot of them just don't get it. So it's tough. It's a tough translation to try to help people with, that have no idea about the tech world. And what's even more difficult is when you get those people that think they're good with tech and they don't know anything, but they're smarter than you. You know what I mean? They know better than you. Those are the worst, dude. Those are the worst. Right, 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 right. I hope they don't outsource again. Probably one of the probably part of the last Mass Effect issues. Yeah, we'll see what's up. BioWare's got numerous things coming, right? So we've got that's why I put them both here. So the Mass Effect team rallying to finish Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and then the Mass Effect 4 release date news. So we'll look at both of those and see what's up. Let's go to our other search here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can't stress enough how much security, and people don't understand security. You can't ever be secure enough in the tech environment, especially with connectivity and stuff like that. I mean, it's just and people don't understand the way it works. That's part of the problem. It's not. I'm not trying to call people stupid, but people are ignorant about it. People are ignorant, meaning they just don't understand the way it works. They don't understand the necessity behind it. You know. Oh, great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So that's where a really good IT team, you know, an IT, all encompassing IT team for businesses comes into play to try to take care of that kind of stuff, and make sure that everything is being securely handled and stuff like that. Um, but again, that's relying on making sure you've got a good IT team too. So, and a lot of businesses, don't want to pay for that. Video game scalping sucks for more reasons than greed. Dude, scalping's terrible. It was such a huge issue in the industry nowadays. I mean, anything that comes out in a limited quantity that's moderately sought after is scalped to death immediately. It's incredibly, incredibly frustrating for us as video game lovers. Um, so that'll be a good article to read. We have that up already. We've already kind of, I'm not going to pull this article up. We already kind of knew Netflix was doing this. They're all in on developing a new cloud gaming platform. Yeah, aside from what they're doing on their own platform of, with their subscription service of giving, they had, 50 games that came out last year. They've committed to having another 40 added this year. So by the end of this year, they're going to have close to 100 games on their mobile platform. Then they're also trying to get into this cloud gaming space as well. We've seen that work well for some companies. We've seen it not work so well for some companies. Stadia, I think a big part of it is how good of a business plan you have to go along with the cloud gaming sphere. And we'll see how Netflix does. I think they've done an okay job right now on their initial venture into the gaming side of entertainment, because that hasn't been, their MO up until now. But they needed to find another way to get people into their subscription service as they were losing subscribers. And I think they've done an okay job up till now. But it's still going to take time to see whether they're able to thrive in this market. They are now trying to get some double to AAA games made. They've bought some other developers to have under their umbrella, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. Scalpers are terrible, dude. Yeah, little funny video card manufacturer. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Ferret agreed. Yep. Yeah, we've got that up. I mean, dude, we've talked enough about this. I'm not gonna linger on this. But the the Wii U and 3DS eShop shut down yesterday. If you didn't know, feels bad, dude. Feels bad. There's no reason for this, by the way. There's no reason for that. Ultimately, um, feels terrible. We've hit on this as well. Um, TMNT, The Last Ronin, is a more adult content centered, text based um, I guess kind of comic or manga that came out in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe regarding a time in the future where there's only one Ninja Turtle left. Apparently, it's supposed to be Michelangelo, and Mikey has taken on this persona of um, all the turtles since he's the only one left. It's supposed to be a dark kind of vibe to it, man. Obviously, with the other turtles having perished, and Mikey taking on their weapons, their roles, their skills, their abilities with the weapons and stuff, and being the only turtle left, and they're adapting this currently into a video game, which is kind of wild. We're being given info right now that it's going to be something more along the lines of what you would experience in like a God of War game, but we don't know for sure. And there's not really any more information on that front. But dude, I am pretty psyched about this. I love the Ninja Turtles. I've always liked the Ninja Turtles just for being they all brought a different kind of dynamic personality wise to the team, right? And there was Leo who was more serious, and then Donnie's like, kind of the nerdy, geeky one that there's that, and Mikey's the more laid back, like kind of meathead, and then Raph, obviously the serious, just ready to mash things up. So there was always a good amount of different personality stuff between the entire group, and I've always liked the Turtles for that. I mean, pizza, yeah, sewer surfing, bro. Let's go. And but I think that seeing a darker take on this is going to be kind of cool for some people. It's not going to appeal to everybody. Let's be real. But I think that it could be a nice contrast to what we always see with the Turtles, and could give some people something to look forward to in that universe. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll keep track as we move forward. This is very, 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 very early development stuff, though. So I'm telling you, like the last Ronin, as a video game adaptation, we were probably not going to see anything significant on for another. I'm not even talking about a release. I'm talking about significant stuff about the video game, probably not for another year or more, just because it's so early right now. That would be my guess, anyways. Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventure release date. Is Game Pass doomed without the £1 subscription service deal? No. This was always a marketing kind of ploy, right? What this always was a way to get people in and to experience the service and to show them what the service had to offer, and then to eventually get rid of it. That's what this always was. But they had it for a long time. So people that got to experience the subscription service for £1 or $1 or whatever you want to, whatever your currency is in your part of the world, it was a good deal for a very long time. But it's going away. I do not think that Xbox Game Pass is doomed without it. They are rolling out some different tiers for people to buy into. They've got the Family Pass that's rolling out, the family tier. If you don't know what that is, everything that I know about it right now is that you can have about 5 different. It's a family or friends is what it's called, right? So family or friends pass, Game Pass tier is getting about. You can have up to 5 people into a subscription, and you all tie into the subscription together. And I think for roughly just a little bit more than what you would normally pay for the Ultimate, you're paying about just a little bit over half. If you've got 5 people in together, you're going to be paying just maybe a little bit over half of what you would normally pay for an Ultimate subscription. So if you got 5 friends, you all want the Game Pass, and you can all get in on the subscription together and the friends and family plan, then it's just a better deal. Yeah. You still have your own accounts and everything. It's just you're all part of the plan. it's all paid for together or whatever. I think that's basically the way that goes down. There's also a new tier that's going to be rolling out that's an ad-based tier. That's not going to appeal to everybody, but it is a lower price point for people to get into. The big, disclaimers or caveats to that is that anytime you're going to go in to play a game, you have to watch an ad before you play a game. The other side of it is also that you don't get access to the day one Game Pass games. You'll get access to the Game Pass, the day one Game Pass games. You'll get access to those 6 months later on the ad-based tier. So that's what we know coming out of that right now. It's not released yet, so there are things about that could change or new info that could come up. And as we find out more, man, we'll hit on it, okay? But I don't think Game Pass is doomed. Game Pass is a great bargain, even at the full price of it and everything. It's definitely changing the way, and has changed the way gaming plays out in the industry, having the subscription service. Be prepared for about 2.5 hours worth of watch time for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm not going to dive into this review here. We can see what Metacritic's saying about Chia, though. This game's been hyped up a little bit. It's a cute little adventure game. It's about what I expected. It's probably not anything that's going to blow you away, but it could be a chill enough little experience to get some entertainment out of. 78 on Meta and 6.6 user score out of Meta for PS5. PC is probably going to be pretty similar. Yep, almost on point actually. 77 Meta, 6.1 users. So I don't know if you've been interested in Chia. We've seen the trailer many times here in the channel, and this is the little like more island based adventure game. You're running around. You can transport your soul into other inanimate objects or animals to help traverse and get things done. And it looks cool. It looks cool. I don't think it was going to be anything mind blowing, but probably if it looks, it's very vibrant. It's very bright. It looks very cute. And if that's something that appeals to you, you'll probably get a decent experience out of it. City Skylines is having a March 27th update. We'll see what that's bringing to the table for people that have been playing that game. Also an Elden Ring patch, so we'll see what's there for people. I'm sorry, I'm just done with the GTA 6 stuff, dude. I just can't. I'm over it, man. It's anything that could potentially be anything about GTA 6 is just all. It's everybody tries to hype it up so much, and I just can't do it anymore, man. It's like, dude, when we get official news about GTA 6, I'll dive into it. For now, I'm done. It's so gross trying to navigate through all the clickbait stuff just because something says GTA 6. It's actually kind of malding. I get tired of hearing about it. What? Multiverses to shut down in June ahead of relaunch next year? Really? Interesting. Swords of Blood, pay to earn. Nope, I'm good. This is what I'll tell everybody. The reason I don't dive into these play to earn games is because what they do is they initially start off probably making people feel like it's a fun enough experience, but ultimately what pay to earn games are is they are a job. They make people feel like they need to be there. They constantly need to be playing because they need to continue to be trying to earn. And a lot of people will go, well, is that much different than a lot of games that incorporate mechanics that make you feel like you need to grind all the time? Yes and no. A lot of what these pay to earn games are based on is the potential for real world monetization. And that's why it's on a different, they're always built on like crypto economy, Web3 stuff. And so that's why it's different. There are a lot of games that incorporate very grindy mechanics, and they're like, okay, if you want to get more powerful and better in the game, then you need to grind away. There's a difference between that and making people feel like if they're not playing the game, they're losing out in the real world monetarily. So that's the big difference there. And that's what pay to earn is about. And that's why I am not about it, man. Making people feel like, because gaming has always been something that's supposed to be about, in my mind, gaming has always been something that's supposed to be about escaping the real world and being able to immerse ourselves in an environment that is able to take us away from the day-to-day stressors and anxieties that people deal with on the constant. And one of the biggest stressors that and anxiety-inducing things that people have to deal with is money. You know what I mean? So, and people grind day in and day out to try and make paycheck to paycheck in the world. And so then it's like, rather than going and playing games to relax and enjoy yourself and stuff like that, you're going to be going and playing you're going to be going and working another job, basically. So instead of playing a video game, you're working another job. That's basically what this comes down to. And that's why I'm not a fan of the pay to earn stuff, man. It's kind of gross to me and I stay away from it, but that's my view on it. That's the way I feel about it. I'm not a fan of it. And so that's why I don't want to promote it. I don't dive into it. Tears of the Kingdom extended gameplay stream announced. See when that's taking place. It's like Wild Hearts is running 30 to 40% faster on AMD CPUs. We'll pull that up real quick. We'll see what's going on. Yeah, apparently Blood Bowl 3 is atrocious. Really bad. Really bad. Just you should be able to, dude. I'll look it up in just a bit after the news. But do you know? Probably. Yeah. I mean, again, look at your motherboard should have a supported documentation that shows what CPUs are supported out of the box for the BIOS versions that it potentially has on it. And there's also, I think there's a way to check your maybe not. But yeah, Risen 3 should work. He's got a what is it? It's an Tough Gaming, Asus Tough Gaming 570 Plus, I think. Isn't that what you have, Wick? Wick can't tell you, dude. I'm pretty sure that's what he has. I'm pretty sure that's what he has. Yeah. It'll either be printed on it or it'll have documentation in the manual and stuff. You can look it up online too. But I'm pretty sure that Risen 3 will probably work on it as well. Yeah, it's the tough 570 plus, dude. Yeah. The tough gaming 570 plus from Asus. Yeah. So I think the Ryzen 3 is supported on it. If the Ryzen, if the 5900X is supported, it's the tough, dude. It's the tough Mithril. It's the tough 570 plus. Yep. Yeah, it's the tough X 570 plus. Yep. Yeah. I don't see why the Ryzen 3 wouldn't be supported on it if the 5900 is. Again, yeah. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. But it's still better to go ahead and verify that. Do you know which Ryzen 3 it is, dude? That'd be good to know as well. But it shouldn't really. I mean, Ryzen 3 is Ryzen 3. Ryzen 5 is Ryzen 5. Ryzen 7, Ryzen 7. So, but yeah, that's an option. You'll just need to make sure. All AM force. That's what I figured. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it'll probably there's a much greater chance, dude. Thanks, Mithril. Yeah, I figured that it probably was. There's a much greater chance. Well, I mean, maybe we should be talking to your wife to get this done instead of you then, dude. I mean, is that I mean, if we need to know about smoothies, dude, then we'll talk to you. But maybe if it's about tech, we need to talk to the wife, bro. Well, yeah, Mithril. That's why I know that the tough gaming are good motherboard. That's why I was surprised that it doesn't have the flashback utility. That's why we're in this situation. That's weird to me. I mean, that's why we're in this situation, Mithril. It doesn't have the flashback utility, so you can't update the BIOS without actually turning it on with a supported which is weird out of Asus because their top motherboards always have the flashback utility. And I was surprised that it doesn't have the USB flashback utility as part of that motherboard. It's weird. That's why we're having to find another way to get the BIOS updated. Biggest fixes Blood Bowl 3 needs. This game was a mess, dude. No, that's why there's an issue. Hold on. Well, that's the whole issue, Mithril. That's the whole issue. That's why. So most motherboards nowadays have the flashback utility, meaning that all you have to do is, they've got a specific port right on the back of the motherboard that you don't need a display. You don't even have to have the PC entirely built up, right? It basically will update the BIOS on the motherboard just running off of the battery, right? All you have to do is there are steps to do it. You've got to go, basically you got to get a thumb drive. You've got to get the BIOS that you're trying to update to, which is usually going to be the latest one, off the support website for whatever the motherboard is, right? And you get it configured the right way. You put it in the correct USB slot for the flashback. You hold a button down for about 5 seconds, and dude, it goes through a process, and all you do is watch a light. You watch a light, and it updates the BIOS without needing a display or anything. And that's where this issue comes in, because like Wick bought this motherboard years ago, at least over a year ago, and then he bought the 5900X, which isn't supported yet on the motherboard's BIOS because the BIOS is old, right? And it doesn't have that flashback utility. which is weird because most Asus motherboards do. And that's why we're having to figure out a different way to get the BIOS updated. Because like I've got an Asus motherboard I bought in 2000, in the beginning of 2021 or the end of 2020, and I bought a 5900X, and I had the same issue. But all I had to do was update my BIOS with the flashback USB port. I didn't need a display. I didn't need anything. But unfortunately, his motherboard doesn't have that for some weird reason. So I'm not even talking about like needing a display, having to go into the BIOS upon initial boot, flash it through like the BIOS or anything. You don't have to see anything. Any issue to foresee with just popping like that CPU into your PC? I mean, aside from just needing to be careful with whatever the situation is there with whatever heat sinks on it, and you know, just trying to make sure you're not, just be as gentle as possible, you know what I mean? Well, that's even if you, I mean, you might not, if it's water cooled, you might not even have to repaste. You could just pull out the entire cooler and put the cooler into the new rig too. I mean, that's an option, you know. Just transport the entire CPU and cooler itself together, potentially. No, that wouldn't work, would it? Because it clamps down on there, probably, doesn't it? I don't know. They're all so different nowadays. But yeah, you probably just have to re-thermal paste it, dude. It's not hard. You're just rubbing alcohol, dude. Just use rubbing alcohol to pull all the old thermal paste off. Yeah. That's really going to be the only, like, it's just going to be a bit of like an encumbrance, dude. That's it. You'll have to like, which I don't know how long she's been running that. It's probably not going to be a bad thing for hers to be repasted anyways. So once it's put back into her rig, so that's probably not a bad thing anyways. Uh, yeah, he's got thermal paste. He just bought some. Um, so what you'll have to do is like pull her heat sink off, pull the CPU out, pull all, you know, take all the. It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna suck, dude. Yeah, he knows that, Mithril. Yeah. But thanks, dude. Yeah. Just like that's what he was saying the other day. He's like, I'm trying to find a frozen pea for Skell when he was setting his rig up. So I mean, he's already done his rig. He knows how it works. Yeah. Oh, she's getting your current one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's gonna be the biggest thing is like just pulling the heat sink off of her CPU, pulling that CPU out, which is just the reverse process of putting it in. Basically, you know, you just pull that hinge up on the AMD socket. It should just lift right out of there, dude. Yeah, they do, Mithril. You're right. Yeah. Um, and then you just need to be careful, man, and it should just be like some high concentration isopropyl rubbing alcohol, man. Or get a lot of that get that old thermal paste off there, and you'll have to make sure it's nice and clean, and then put new stuff on there before you put it in your rig and put a heat sink on it. You got to put a heat sink on it, obviously, dude. When you put it in your rig, no matter what, you've got to have a heat sink on it. You got to have new thermal paste on it, even if you're taking it back out, you know, because if not, it's just going to burn up as soon as you turn it on, you know. So put it in your rig. Yeah, for sure. Um, put it in your rig and put the heatsink back on. All you're gonna have to do is boot into the BIOS. That's it. It's a lot of work just to boot into the BIOS and update the BIOS. But basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into in the BIOS. Once you boot into the BIOS, it'll have an option for flashing the BIOS, updating the BIOS through a USB drive, and that's what you're gonna need to do. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great recommendation, Mithril. So instead of, so basically you'll have like, you need to go to ASUS's website for your motherboard and look at how to update the BIOS through the BIOS, and you'll get the instructions on how to do that. So that's after you get the CPU in there and everything. That's the way you do it. It's going to be another process of having the correct BIOS put onto a thumb drive. Just have it into a USB port on the motherboard, and you'll be able to access it that way. You do need the flash drive, yes. That's where the you'll have to make sure. I don't know if the processor went. Well, I mean, it can be the same thumb drive. You'll just have to look and see if there are going to be instructions on the site for your motherboard. Go to ASUS's website, the support website for your motherboard. There should be, I'll help you find it later. There will be instructions for that motherboard that tell you how exactly to flash, like what I sent you last night. It'll tell you what you've got. Yo, Kayla, what's up? What the actual executable needs to be. It'll probably be the same exact thing, but you just need to make sure. You just need to make sure. It'll probably be the same exact thing you already have on there, but you need to make sure. You don't want to end up trying to like flash the BIOS with a bad file name or something like that, and it won't work, right? So it's just better to be prepared. You gonna flash me? Tempt me with a good time, dog. Um, but yeah, I'll get you some links, dude. I'll get you some links later. You just keep slinging those smoothies, dude. I'll help you figure it out. Yeah. Thanks, Mithril. Thanks, dude. Yeah. It's gonna take you a second to get that the old CPU out and cleaned up and into your on your motherboard anyway. So, but I'll get you the links. You should be able to. Who'd you buy it through? It's not opened or anything. You should be able to. How you doing, Kayla? Nintendo GameCube report leaks remaster of Classic. Let's see what that is. That's enough, dude. Let's stick with these. We've been talking flipping Wick through this entire process all morning, dude. Oh yeah, dude. You should be able to return it easy. Yeah. Just I mean, you maybe hold on to it for a few days until you make sure that you've gotten the you know, everything sorted with the motherboard you have now, right? Just don't open it or anything. But just hold on to it for I mean, you know. No, you don't need to be sorry. No, I got it, dude. We'll get you sorted, dude. Yeah, yeah. I think the plus is the one with the Wi-Fi, and then the regular one's the one without, right? Right. I'll send you the good link, dude. I'll send you the good link, Wick. You've got it from here. Word. I'll just sit back, dude. Yeah, he's got the plus with the Wi-Fi. Yeah, Mithril's just saying like to make sure you get the right BIOS. I'll get you the link, dude. I'll get you the link. I'll get you the link for the correct BIOS. I'll get you the link for the steps to take to flash the BIOS through the US or flash update the BIOS through the BIOS and all that stuff. So I'll get you all the instructions, dude. Oh, the Plus has with and without, really? Oh, Jesus! Why did they do that, dude? That's so confusing. So there's a Plus with and without Wi-Fi, and then there's just a default and a Pro. God dang, dude! Why do companies do that crap? That's confusing. Yo, thanks, Mithril. Yeah, that is a mess, dude. Um, I'll so the Plus with the Wi-Fi. I've got it. I'll find it. I'll find it, dude. No worries. City Skylines March 27 update delivers bug fixes for console platforms. Colossal Order has rolled out a new City Skylines update on March 27th, bringing essential bug fixes and improvements to the console platforms. You can send it to Wick, whatever that is, Mithril. Sorry, buddy. Just, here, I got you, dog. Here. There you go, buddy. You can link it now. Colossal Order. Yeah, no, that's good, dude. No, that's cool. There you go, buddy. Colossal Order has rolled out a new City Skylines update on March 27th, bringing essential bug fixes and improvements to the console platforms. Latest patch addresses some issues players have been experiencing on Xbox and PlayStation 4 consoles. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, nice, dude. There you go, Wick. There's your link, dude. There's your link to the that's going to be to the actual BIOS updates, I think. Probably the support page. Thanks, Mithril. I appreciate it, man. Change log. Quick fix, hot fix patch for console. Fixed low res on new free update buildings. Fixed missed parking lots and transport hub. Fixed pedestrian zone crashes when loading city for Xbox. And then on PS4, there's fixed missing parking lots and fixed missing metro train monorail tram hub with road. So there you go. There's your updates for City Skylines. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for helping out, man. Elden Ring patch notes. What's new in update 1.09? We already read about the ray tracing coming in, and they've already said that, like, ray tracing, you need to not run this on anything over high def. Aside from ray tracing, nothing new of note has been added to the game. Instead, though, From Software has made a load of balance adjustments to all areas of the game, along with quashing a handful of bugs. For example, there is now an invincibility window when respawning in the Coliseum, and the Roar Medallion Talisman should now increase the power of all incantations. There are a load of balance adjustments and bug fixes, which you can see in the full list of patch notes below. So they've got all the patch notes down here, okay? So you guys can take a look at that if you want. But we knew ray tracing was coming in on this, and that's the big thing. No documentation? Gross. Okay. That's weird. Multiverses to shut down in June ahead of relaunch next year. This is weird. We knew that the player base had really dwindled on this game, which is, I mean, kind of wild. Kind of wild. Yo, thanks, Kayla. Thanks. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks, my friend. Multiverses open beta is getting shut down on June 25th, but the game isn't shutting down for good. That's what they're saying. Instead, developer Player First Games and publisher WB are taking Multiverses offline ahead of a planned relaunch in early 2024. The fighting game, which Warner Brothers' version of Super Smash Bros. Launched last year to some acclaim from fans and critics, despite an initial wave of popularity, the game's active player base tanked this year, dropping by 99% at one point. Now the game will largely go offline while the developers work towards an official 1.0 release. Game director Tony Hyun explained that unusual move in a video and fact detailing what's next. Quote, there's still a lot of work to do, and we have a clearer view on where we need to focus, specifically on the content cadence of new characters, maps, and modes to provide more ways to enjoy the game, along with netcode and matchmaking improvements. We'll also be reworking the progression system and looking at new ways for players to connect with friends in the game. As part of this process, we'll be pausing updates and taking the game offline as we prepare for the launch of Multiverses, which we are targeting for early 2024. After June 25th, those who have Multiverses downloaded will only be able to play offline modes like training and local multiplayer. The game will no longer be available to download, and premium currency Gleamium will no longer be available for purchase after April 4th. To compensate, Multiverses Season 2 Battle Pass is being extended until March 25th, and all purchased items and progression will be carried over to next year's launch. Yeah, this is what I was thinking. Hopefully, Player First Games and WB stick to their word and do eventually re-release the game, as it could be better with some much-needed improvements. That was my worry, is like they're taking it away and they're going, yeah, we'll re-release it, but they there's always the potential that they just go, oh, this isn't worth it anymore, The thing that's crazy is this is like the perfect example of how hard it is in the the live service space of games nowadays. It's so polluted, and you really have to have something that not only grabs people's attention out the gate, but maintains their want to continue, to be in that universe and play that game for the long haul, which means continual, updates and content additions and things like that, right? It absolutely is, Mithril. Well, here's the thing. I mean, we've followed this game for a while. If you didn't know, so Multiverses, it actually was like kind of the perfect storm for them when it dropped last year. So this game dropped last year in early access right whenever Evo happened. Woo! Sorry. So Evo, if you guys aren't familiar with what Evo is the big fighting tournament that happens every year, right? Like towards the middle to late summer, right? Thanks. Man, that was a hard yawn. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, so Evo is a big fighting game tournament, right? I mean, you name it, like the mainline fighting games, Street Fighter, Tekken. It used to be Smash. I'll talk about that in a second, but Mortal Kombat, Blaze Blue. I mean, all kinds of mainline fighting games in that and it's tournament, and people go there, they win real money. It's a big deal. Well, last year. Before the tournament popped off last year, Sony bought it. So because Sony bought it, Nintendo went, oh, that's a competitor, and you guys can't play Smash Brothers in that tournament anymore. Which, dude, that tournament has been running for probably close to 15 to 20 years now, Evo. I think something like that. And just because Nintendo didn't want a competitor who owned the tournament at this point to be able to run that game, they tried to, I guess, kind of like give them a metaphorical kind of jab or slap in the face to PlayStation and Sony and go, oh, you can't run Smash at your tournament. What it really did was it was more of a jab at the player base, It was a jab at the player base, all the people that love, which Nintendo's been terrible about Smash Brothers, supporting Smash Brothers anyways. So they don't really care. It's just all about the money for them. But it was just another example of how bad Nintendo is on their front of supporting their customers and fan base and stuff, But basically what happened is because Nintendo pulled Smash out of the tournament, here comes Multiverses, right? So Multiverses steps in, and Multiverses is basically WB's version of Smash. So, it got hyped up, and it did very well. It gained a lot of popularity. People enjoyed it quite a bit. After Evo, it slowly started like kind of dying off a little bit, and then, dude, all of a sudden it tanked. Player base just tanked. And I think it's one of those things that goes to show you that we talk about it a lot. The gaming industry is polluted, especially the live service space. Live service space, a lot of the different genres that developers are trying to dive into and make a name for themselves, it is hard. And we've seen a lot of games shut down here recently that people really enjoyed, but ultimately it's been a tough decision for developers where, does it make sense to keep the game running? Because there comes a point where I think developers have to kind of cut their losses, and it's like it's not working out anymore. And they have to kind of shut it down, reassess, and figure out what the next step is for them, Peter, what's up, buddy? Yo, your trucks are dope, dude. Thanks for sharing those yesterday, man. That was awesome. So it's a tough situation, and this is one of those examples that I talk about quite often. It's not just being able to. It's really hard to pull player base away from the popular titles. Whether you're talking about Smash Brothers or you're talking about in this genre of Smash Brothers, you're talking about the Battle Royale stuff. You're talking about games like Fortnite, there are certain titles in each live service-based genre that if you're trying to develop a game and push a game out, not only do you have to have something flashy and unique enough to want to pull people over to give it a shot and play it initially, and if you can do that, the second problem is keeping people. What are you going to be able to do to keep people in your title as opposed to them just going, okay, well, that was fun for a few hours. Now I'm going to go back and play the game that I always play, because that's the other tough part about it, right? And yeah, there are a lot of big developers, just what you're talking about right there, Mithril, that have. But see, this is another thing. WB doesn't have. I mean, WB has that same advantage, right? Nintendo has ongoing brand recognition and characters. So does WB, brother. WB has the same thing. They've got a ton of characters underneath their brand. They have all kinds of stuff. All the Looney Tunes stuff. Dude, they had LeBron James in that game. They've got all kinds of stuff. Gremlins and you name it, dude. They had all kinds of stuff. So it's not like WB was trying to just build up no-name characters or anything. It might not be characters that are quite as renowned as some of the Nintendo stuff in the gaming world, but they're definitely characters that people know and love, right? So, but that's definitely one of those aspects of the live service space we talk about a lot. Is like, can you pull people over initially, and can you keep people into your game? Because that's two things you have to be able to do. If you can't do that, you're probably not going to survive. And we see we're seeing a trend here that's happening more and more often. That these games that come out, that they're rated well, and people have been reported to really enjoy the games, but they're still being shut down. Talk about games like Knockout City, Rumbleverse, which is also an epic game, very much like Fortnite, but it's still tanked. It just wasn't able to sustain player base. And here's another example. Multiverses did very well out the gate. They brought people over, but it didn't sustain. They weren't able to keep people interested in the content, and so it died off. And apparently, they're not currently planning on permanently keeping the game offline, but I think that they've got a pretty tough task on their hands, because the game's already been released. People already know what to expect. So being able to get people to buy into the fact that the game's going to be better when it releases again, I don't know that you're going to be able to do that. We'll see. But it's a tough thing to do. And it's kind of crazy because this game did very... I mean, you're talking about, like, dude, there's Batman, Adventure Time, the Looney Tunes characters. There's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of characters they own. You know what I mean? Mithril, so there's tons of stuff. Random mode time, guys. Let's go. So it's not like they didn't have notable characters to play in this game. There are quite a few. But it definitely, it's an advantage, no doubt about it. It's an advantage. So if you guys don't know what Multiverses is, I'll just show you real quick. There's like a 2-minute video. Why not watch it, right?
Hi everyone, this is Tony from Player First Games, and I'm here today on behalf of the entire Multiverses team to say thank you for your support during our open beta. We've been excited to see the interest and enthusiasm from the community, and your feedback has been invaluable to us. We continue to be humbled by the awards the game has received, and excited to see the enjoyment that Multiverses has brought to players. Throughout our open beta, we've been working hard to build the best gameplay experience, and we appreciate all the inspiration you've given us. Our open beta has been an important learning opportunity for us, and a stepping stone to the next phase of Multiverses. We know there's still a lot of work to do. As a result, we have a clearer view of what we need to focus on, specifically the content cadence of new characters, maps, and modes, to give you more ways to enjoy the game. Along with an updated netcode and more matchmaking improvements, we'll also be reworking the progression system based on your feedback, and looking at new ways
God, I love
for you to
Adventure
connect
Time.
with your friends in the game. To do this the right way, we'll be closing the Multiverses open beta 90 days from today. As part of this process, we'll be pausing updates and taking the game
bacon
offline
pancakes,
as we prepare
bacon
for the launch
pancakes,
of
making bacon
Multiverses,
pancakes.
which we're targeting for early
Iron Giant,
2024.
yeah, dude.
I'm sure you're wondering what
Yeah.
this means for you.
They've got, because
During this
WB, I mean,
downtime,
WB owns
all
so
online modes
many
and features will be unavailable. You'll have limited
licenses, you
offline
know,
access to the training room
for
known
different
as the
characters
lab,
and things
and
like
local
that.
matches, along with access to your characters and
The
cosmetic
rights to
items
different
within these
characters and
modes.
stuff.
We do know that this news might be disappointing, but rest assured, Multiverses will be back. We'll also ensure that all your progress and content will carry
I think
over
Rick
when
and Morty are
Multiverses
in here
returns
too.
next year, with a variety of new content, features, and modes. Along the way, we'll be providing updates, so keep an eye on our social channels and website. Thank you again to the entire Multiverses community. We greatly appreciate your passion and excitement, and look forward to our next chapter with you. Thank you.
So, I mean, obviously, you know, it's there's no doubt about the fact just watching it, right? Apparently, dude, like I said, I mean, you know, reading the article, they're talking about the game lost 99% of their player base not too long ago, and I think that it's got to be a tough thing, right? So in the article, it said they lost 99% of player base, which is kind of crazy. Like I said, I mean, the amount of hype that was around this game, whenever it released and right around that time that Evo hit last year, was insane. People were loving it, man. People were loving it. And then all of a sudden it just died. So I think that this is the case that keeps happening to a lot of developers. It's like, you know, we got to cut our losses here. You know, it's not working. And, you know, is it worth the investment to try to figure out a way to make it better? And I think that's what WB is doing right now with this and Player First. You know, they're like, you know, let's shut it down for a bit. It's not worth keeping open. We're not getting player base in. Let's shut it down. But I think they see the potential behind it, right? So they're like, okay, maybe we can figure out some ways to make this a bit better. I think it is. I think it's across consoles and PC. Let me look for you, buddy. Yeah, I think it's cross-platform. Yeah, PS4, 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and Windows. Yep. It's a multi cross-platform game. It's all there, dude. Yep. So, I don't know. It's we'll see what happens with it, but it's a tough situation. We've seen a lot of games fall into this issue where people have enjoyed them. There's just not enough people playing them, so they have to shut down. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. I mean, good luck. I don't know. It's tough, dude. It's a tough industry, no doubt about it. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom extended gameplay stream announced. Nintendo has only slowly been releasing new footage of Tears of the Kingdom. Even though it is less than 2 months away, the company hasn't put out that much footage of it in action outside of snippets interspersed in trailers. However, Nintendo is addressing the lack of gameplay footage as it announced an upcoming breakdown all about the highly anticipated open world title. Wait, what? Today? At 9 o'clock a.m. Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah. So in about an hour and a half. There's going to be a Tears of the Kingdom showcase for gameplay. So we'll watch that. Okay. That's a bit of a shadow drop announcement for us. It will include 10 minutes of gameplay and feature Eiji Aonuma, longtime producer of the series. Nintendo's other trailers have been vague. Even its most recent release date trailer was on the mysterious side. But despite Nintendo's efforts to maintain secrecy, leaks have been getting out there, including its art book that prematurely made its way online and revealed many new characters. Yeah, we saw that. We made it, guys. They did it for us. We made it. We are now we are no longer Z tier streamer. We are now Y tier streamer. All right. It's because of you guys. All right. Let's go. I'm gonna leave that up, dude. We'll watch that this morning. Yeah. So today, yay! Woo! Let's go. Get hyped, dude. We are Y tier streamer now. Nintendo did this for us, dude. Let's well, we'll watch this, dude. We got about an hour and a half. Let's see here. What their YouTube page is showing us. Okay. Yeah. Just make sure that time's right. So we'll pop over there in about an hour and a half, a little bit less than that, and we'll watch the Tears of the Kingdom gameplay showcase. About 10 minutes of gameplay we'll see there. Here we go. Talking about some more gaming benchmark stuff for the X3D processors for AMD, it looks like. Excuse me. Wild Hearts runs 30 to 40% faster on AMD CPUs, still stutters like crazy. You know why? Because developers can't optimize for PC anymore. I don't understand what's going on. Omega Force has released a new patch for the PC version of Wild Hearts that, among other things, improves CPU performance, particularly for AMD processors. As such, we decided to re-benchmark the game on our Ryzen 9 7950X 3D. Now, funny enough, if anybody is thinking about building a new PC or buying a new PC around the new X3D processors, one of the things we've kind of noticed out of AMD's own benchmarking is that their top tier X3D processors might not be the best option for gaming. I think like their 7800 X3D processor is like actually more of the better point to go for, and that's just some initial stuff that I've seen. And this was out of some of AMD's own benchmarking. This came out of AMD's benchmarking. Their 7800 X3D processor showed really, really, really good gaming benchmarking at a price point of almost $300 less than what you would pay for something like this. So that's something to look into. That's just some initial impressions that I saw out of AMD's own benchmarking, which is significant. So my advice is, if you're thinking about building on an X3D, which all the X3D processors right now seem to be very, very good. These are the processors, if you didn't know, that have a significant amount more of level 3 cache memory in them than anything we've ever seen in a standard consumer-based kind of processor, right? But these are all supposed to be very good gaming processors. And but if you don't need to dump money on the highest tier, if you're just primarily going to be gaming, and I would say look at some benchmarks comparing like the 7800 to the 7900 and the 7950, and really do your homework there and educate yourself, because you might be able to save yourself about $250 to $300. That's a U.S. price point, so convert that to your own locale and still get a really, really, really good performing processor for gaming out of it. So take a look at that. For their benchmarks, they used the 7950 with 32 gigs of DDR5 at 6500 megahertz. And a 4090, no big deal, Just anytime I see 4090, I think the price point on that, and it makes me want to like gag a little bit. We also used Windows 10, GeForce 531.26 driver, and they were using a Samsung 980 Pro SSD. Just standard, yeah. This is just your your middle of the road baseline of PC. Right. But this is the big deal here is like the Wild Hearts at HD. This is just an HD visual, right? So we're talking 1080p. So the previous version minimum was 90. Previous version average was 130. The previous version average was, or latest version average is 126. Latest version minimum frame rate was 170. And this is after the updates and everything, I think is what they're talking about here. Yeah, after the new patch. So, the good news is that Wild Hearts now runs 30 to 40% faster than its previous version on this type of PC, though. Okay, so that's something to make sure you understand. With this performance patch, our minimum frame rate skyrocketed from 90 to 126 at 1080p in max settings. Frame rates jumped from 130 to, at 1080p in max settings. Moreover, frame rates jumped from 130 to 170. Unfortunately, though, the game still stutters like crazy. Omega Force has done nothing to somehow address the game's awful traversal stutters. As such, the game remains unplayable, at least in my opinion, as it never feels smooth. Yeah, now we're getting over 120 frames at all times, but the stuttering is really awful in this game. That's terrible, dude. I don't understand why so many developers have so much of an issue getting games to perform optimally on PC nowadays. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. Optimizing games for PC is not nearly as easy as it will be for console. There's no doubt about that. Console is very static. You don't have to worry about changing hardware and stuff. It's a static hardware configuration. Whereas PC, you have to consider all the different types of hardware configurations that are going to be playing in together. But here's the deal. There are a lot of developers out there that are very, very, very good at releasing PC games, and you never have an issue. Or even porting PC games that never have an issue. And then you've got another half of the development world that can't do it. They just can't do it. And I don't understand what the deal is. The new Unreal Engine update for the this exact issue. Oh, no, I haven't. No, I didn't see that. The stuttering. UE 5.1 to 5.2 is addressing that. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, this is an issue that's plagued the PC side of things for quite a while now, though. You know what I mean? Yo, if you have a link to that, though, I'll pull it up. Okay. No worries, dude. If not, no worries. Maybe we'll find it and hit on it. Yeah, so I mean, but this is the deal. Even I mean, that's good. Unreal Engine trying to fix things like that. But Jesus, I mean, I don't understand why there are an amount of developers that do a fantastic job on the PC side of things, and then there are other ones that just can't get it right. It's like they're just like, oh yeah, just really. It's like they didn't test anything. It's like they didn't test it at all before they released their game on the PC side of things, and it's just a hot mess. And it's like, they just can't do it, I don't understand, and that's not really acceptable. And again, it's not lost on me that the PC side of things is a different beast. It's not necessarily going to be an easier thing to do because of the vast array of hardware configurations you have to take into account. There's always going to be different kinds of issues that come into play there in the development process, as opposed to a more static hardware configuration that consoles provide. But man, it's pretty brutal. Nintendo GameCube report leaks a remaster of classic RPG. According to a new report, a JRPG classic from the early 2000s that many GameCube and Dreamcast owners will remember is getting a remaster. The rumor comes way of Nick Backer, a prominent industry insider who usually treks in Xbox rumors, but does share information about the broader industry as well. Speaking during a podcast, Baker revealed that not only is a remaster of Skies of Arcadia in the works, but that he's actually seen screenshots of it. Skies of Arcadia is getting a remaster, said Baker during a recent episode of Xbox Era. I may have seen screenshots of this Skies of Arcadia remaster. I got screenshots of it. So if this thing doesn't come out, it's because Sega chose not to, because I've seen screenshots, so I know it exists. Is it possible this individual saw screenshots that were not from Sega though. And look, this is just a fact nowadays. There are a lot of people that are very, very good at what they do. And there are a lot of fakes out there. It's easy for people. I mean, we've seen what people have done with all kinds of things. We watched a video yesterday of somebody that had remade a pretty solid looking version of Ocarina of Time, just put into like Unreal Engine 5, things like that. So is there not the potential that maybe somebody just did this to kind of dupe somebody, Oh, hey, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, dope, dude. Yo, by the way, I mean, for anybody that's not too familiar with the news segment and what we do here, I'm always interested in any kind of pertinent information going on for the gaming world and things like that. So if you come, it doesn't have to be provided to me during the news segment either. If you guys come across information that you think is important and we should be covering and that I haven't maybe hit on before, in our Discord server there is a recommendations channel or a suggestions channel. And you guys are always free, whether it has to be with things that we would like to hit on in the news or even just things that you would like to discuss about seeing potentially have us do for games to play in this community or things to maybe look at doing for the community moving forward, anything like that. But specifically right now, talking about the fact that Mithril's hit me up with an article to look at, I appreciate that very much. And I'm not always going to be able to find everything that's pertinent, what's going on in the industry. And sometimes you guys might find some stuff that I might not be aware of. So if that's the case, I mean, feel free to hit me up. I mean, you shoot it to me in a DM or whatever, or throw it in the recommendations or suggestions channel or whatever. And I check that stuff quite often. So, I appreciate that very much. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. Oh, sick, dude. Nice. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. We'll take a look at that. So, I mean, you would hope people weren't doing that kind of thing, but there's always people that are just trying to like create tribute things to the games they love and stuff like that, and maybe enhance to show what they're capable of and things of that nature. So unless Baker saw something specifically out of Sega, then there's the potential that this was maybe something that somebody else created, not part of Sega's development process, right? And who knows? I'm not saying for sure, but I'm just saying there's potential there for it to not be something. All of that said, take everything here with a grain of salt. This is a rumor from a source who has had largely proven reliable in the past, but who has also been off the mark in the past. And being off the mark in just a part of peddling rumors and leaks. Whenever you report on private information, you risk inaccuracies. You risk the chance that your information may never come good as projects get canned and changed all the time. Yeah, Sega hasn't commented either, so there's no confirmation here. Skies of Arcadia was published by Sega in the year 200, so I mean, way before most of ours, times. They were playing this way back in the day, back in 2000 as a Dreamcast exclusive. However, many weren't introduced to the RPG until it was ported to GameCube in 2003. But it garnered a 93 on Metacritic, so we'll see. If it comes, man, there'll probably be some people pretty hyped about it. I'm not saying that it's not credible, information, but there's always the potential for somebody to just be duped off of some, unless they've actually stated, I've seen this out of the developer. This is stuff I saw come from the developer themselves. It's a little bit harder for me to put stock into those kinds of rumors, Video game scalping sucks for more reasons than greed. Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing that sucks about it is not, I mean, it's done because of greed. That's why scalping is performed, right? Scalping is a thing that takes place because there are too many, there's just greedy people in the world. And ultimately, there are so many of us that are video game lovers, video game aficionados, that whenever something comes out in a limited quantity around titles that we're passionate about, it makes it very hard for us to grab that stuff nowadays because the scalping is such a huge issue. And I think that's one of the biggest things that sucks, is that for many of us, it's just not being able to get our hands on those pieces of content that we don't necessarily put any kind of monetary value on. It's about the value behind it is the love of gaming. It's the love of these worlds that we've come to adore and be immersed in, and losing out on that content because of somebody else's greed is actually really maulding. Video game can be an expensive hobby. Antonio Romero Monteiro is recognized by Guinness World Records as having the world's largest video game collection, containing over 24,000 games. This is just one such achievement under Monteiro's belt. He also holds the individual records for collecting the most Xbox, Sega, Nintendo, and PlayStation items. Oh, and another thing about his collection, it's worth around $2.1 million. When a collection becomes big enough, its monetary value can become quite substantial. In some cases, a collection isn't even required. In 2021, a sealed copy of Super Mario 64 sold for over $1.5 million at an auction, which made headlines for the amount of money certain people are willing to dish out for video games or related products. Oh yeah, dude, yeah. This was an unopened one. A sealed copy. Never been opened, dude. Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, dude. Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, that's the hard thing for me too, is like, I love games. It would be hard for me not to open them, In my opinion, that's what games are. But I take care of my stuff too. I mean, I've showed you guys a lot of, there's a video out there of early January, right at the beginning of January. I pulled out a lot of my, not all of it, but I pulled out a good chunk of my old gaming stuff and showed it off. And I've got a lot of stuff that's in pretty good shape, Yeah, I've always taken pretty good care of my gaming stuff. So I mean, I've got all my boxes of my old PC games and stuff. All the manuals and books and like advertisement stuff is still in there, and all the discs and everything. I've got all that stuff. So for me, it's not about again, and I think a lot of us feel this way. It's not about the monetary value of things necessarily as much as it is the nostalgic value that it provides us. Yeah. And that's not going to be everybody, but I think a lot of us gamers feel that way. I mean, if you guys haven't seen that video, I think I have it pinned in the here, hold on. Oh dude, I didn't pin that in there. Suck. Pull it up real quick. 1 second. I'll grab it for you guys. I need to pin this in the Discord. Whoa, what? There we go. Hold on. Why is it doing that? Why? Bro, this is super weird. Let me get the link to this real quick. There we go. Yeah, so at the beginning of January, I showed off some of my old stuff. That's a link for it right there if anybody's interested. I got all kinds of stuff. And I mean, shout out to my parents too, because I left home. I left home whenever I was a young adult, man. And I've been back to visit. That's about it, And luckily, my parents, even though they were not thrilled about how much I liked video games, they always understood my passion at least, and to an extent, and they maintained that so they didn't just get rid of all that stuff, and while I didn't make it out with everything, like, there are some things that I don't have anymore, like my Pokemon Red for Game Boy is gone. My Legend of Zelda Gold cartridge is, I don't have that anymore. So there's some things that didn't get, but overall, dude, I can't even be upset about that. I can't even be upset because there's so much stuff that I got away with that my parents did such an amazing job of holding on to for me, and I always took really good care of my stuff, and they did the same thing for me. They knew it meant something to me, and I ended up getting it all back from them, and it's amazing. So I really appreciate that. Shout out to the parents, man. It's awesome. Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, that sucks, Mithril. Oh, that's terrible, bro. But I mean, if anybody wants to take a look, oh, bro, I'd have been so obliterated. Yeah. We actually hit on an article here recently too about there was a Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Yellow 9.2 water rated. Somebody was, I mean, it was in a plastic protective case. It had the water rating on it and everything. It was never opened. It was 9.2 rated. Like I said, it was A plus, I think, and it was being brought into the U.S. from somewhere else. Customs took it, broke open the case, and box cuttered the box. Busted the plastic case open, dude, and just went to town on it with a box cutter, dog. That's an article. That's an article we went over not too long ago. Oh, bro, I'd have been so flipping upset. I would have lost my crap. I say that whenever we read that, dude, I was like, I would have lost it, dude. I would have lost my crap. I'd probably be in jail right now. I'd probably be in jail, bro. I'd have lost my crap. I'd have lost it, dude. No doubt. So, I mean, a lot of us are passionate about the stuff that we collect and have had over time, and I think that's one of the things. This is why I talk a lot of crap about the console players in the market and about how they're so bad about backwards compatibility and stuff. And I think that one of the reasons that I have that stance is because there's so many of us, like myself, that we've been collecting games for such a long time, right? And obviously, like, you're not going to be able to take an NES cartridge and shove it into an optical drive or anything, right? Like, there's an extent to it, but at the same time, man, I mean, PlayStation's been using optical drives the entirety of their console, right? And Xbox too, Xbox as well, right? Trade a smoothie for your collection of games? That's a tough one, bro. Let me think about it. And but they don't give you that capability to run your old games on the newer platforms, even though they definitely have that capability. Outside of PlayStation's PS3 backwards compatibility's got some issues they have to work out, from what I understand. They would take a little bit more time and money, but they don't want to give people that opportunity either. They don't want to give people the opportunity to play those old games on their newer systems. They want people to repurchase those products as digital items, and they want people to buy into subscription services rather than be able to play their old games that they've collected. And that feels bad. That's one of those things I talk about. We've all collected. We've kept a lot of our collection and our games, and there's no reason why, if we bought them at one point, we still shouldn't be able to play those games if they're still on the same media type, that they're still using nowadays, and they've got the capability for the backwards compatibility. They just don't do it because they want more money, and that's what makes a lot of that feel bad to me. We'll keep going here, though. When a collection comes big enough, its monetary value can become quite substantial. In some cases, a collection isn't even required. In 2021, a sealed copy of Mario 64 sold for $1.5 million. Yeah, crazy, dude. Over the years, this concept led to some individuals wondering how they can use highly desired video games and consoles simply to turn a profit. Old but important items being sold off for astronomical prices is nothing new. For example, a sealed first-gen iPhone just sold for over $75,000. Despite that's Canadian, right? Is that Canadian? I think so. CAD. despite being valued at around $27,000. You called your mom and told her about the bike being worth $305. What'd she say, dude? What'd she say? Ask her what happened to your Pokemon cards and other. I've still got my old Pokemon Series 1 Pokemon cards, dude. I didn't have a bunch, but I've got. That's one of the things that I really, really regret is I came on hard times whenever I was an older teenager, and I sold off all my Magic cards. I had a lot of like Series 1 Magic cards and stuff like that, and like early version, early edition Magic cards and stuff. That I wish I wouldn't have done that, but it was hard times, man, and I needed some money, so I sold them off. Yeah. Mom was like, "Cool, that's awesome. Come get your meals." Is that what Mom said? Yeah, dude. I used to. I had a sibling that was a little bit older than me, and I used to hang out with that sibling a lot, and their friends, and one of their friends in particular was really into playing Magic, so I got into playing Magic. But dude, that friend was running around with flipping Black Lotuses, dude. Those are $50,000 cards nowadays, you know. Running around with Black Lotuses, dude, in like just the flimsy black like clear front black card protectors, just a couple of Black Lotuses, it's crazy looking back at that kind of stuff. So first gen iPhone sold for 75, even though it was valued at around 27,000. But video game culture has led to even new items being sold above retail price. In November 2020, Sony released their highly anticipated PlayStation 5 console, but what should have been a fun time for millions of excited gamers ended up being mass frustration. Semiconductor chip shortage and supply chain issues due to the COVID-19 pandemic meant that production of the console was already lower than it should have been, making room for those hoping to abuse the situation for a quick buck scalpers. Dude, GPU stuff here too, man. We've seen a lot of this stuff, Scalping refers to the purchasing of items that are in high demand but low quantities and immediately reselling them on secondhand sources such as eBay for an inflated price. Means that those who struggle to buy one of these products from retail locations will need to cough up some extra cash if they wish to get their hands on the item, leading to a profit for resellers. Due to a series of unfortunate circumstances, the PS5 situation was arguably even worse. Yeah. Due to a series of unfortunate circumstances, the PS5 situation arguably even worse. The vast majority of physical retail locations were not selling the console in store because it would create a major influx of would-be buyers, which would not have been doable given COVID restrictions at the time. This meant that major chains turned to their online shopping alternatives so that the consoles could be purchased virtually, opening the door for tech-savvy scalpers to create automated bots that would immediately purchase PS5 consoles in bulk as soon as an online store opened orders. Yeah, this was terrible. Now, what I will say is that there are certain retailers, I know for a fact Best Buy is one of them here in the U.S. Best Buy got to a point where they were able to implement some stuff for their online shops that made it to where they were able to circumvent a lot of this scalping process. It was really, really bad. I mean, whether you're talking about consoles or the chip shortage was terrible. The chip shortage was gross. Everything was being scalped because there was a shortage of everything. Nothing could meet demand. New CPUs, new GPUs, you name it. There was a great Discord server that I was a part of called Stock Drops. It was actually huge for me because again, I built this PC at the end of I built it at the beginning of 2021. I started streaming in May. And I started trying to buy parts right at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. And it was a brutal process. It was terrible. And Stock Drops was amazing. It was a worldwide server. They literally would find out. You could set yourself up for all kinds of different parts. to be notified. You get notifications that would pop up anytime there were specific parts that you were looking for that were going to hit retailers. And basically, you would just have to sit in that retailer waiting for the stock to come in. They would tell you exactly what time the stock was going to be hitting the retail online stores. You would sit there and wait, and you'd just be like refreshing, man, sitting there waiting. And they were like, make sure you have accounts set up, make sure you've got payment options ready, and da-da-da. But Best Buy became one of the best ones because they were making it to where scalpers couldn't get all the content, all the stock anymore that would drop. And so people were actually able to eventually get items. It was tough. It was still a struggle, but at least you weren't having to go through, the process of dealing with scalpers or anything like that. I didn't pay anything over retail for anything I built this PC with. It's still a struggle, but shout out to Best Buy for actually trying to implement some ways for not just dropping stock and letting a bunch of bots come in and buy everything, But that stock drops server was amazing, but that time was brutal for everybody, whether it was consoles or hardware for PCs, you name it. It was terrible. Soon, the everyday buyer who wanted to purchase a console to play on would find that they were not available anywhere unless they were willing to pay anywhere up to or beyond double the console's retail price to a scalper on eBay. Once the scalping situation became, and dude, there was all kinds of stuff happening. There were like people paying double for a console. The console would come in and it'd be filled with like bricks or something. There was crazy stuff going on if you guys don't remember this. That's why it's always sketchy to even go through. And of course, it was like, that's why if you're going to use a site like eBay, you and I haven't used eBay in forever, but I know I used to. It was always like you make sure you're going through a reputable seller, somebody who's got a lot of good feedback, stuff like that. But people at that point were like, if I can get one from somebody, I'll get it. That's the way it was. You couldn't find them anywhere, and even if you were trying to get one off a scalper, it was like it didn't matter to a lot of people. So they were really willing to risk it, and they were getting duped by things like that. Once the scalping situation became well known, those who engaged in the scummy procedure began receiving much deserved anger online. They were snatching the long-awaited opportunities of those who wished to enjoy a new gaming experience for their own greed and a display of selfish behavior. Even the hate against scalpers has gone much too far. As despicable as their greed might be, there's simply no justification for death threats on those attempting to scalp, such as the resellers who were held at gunpoint early last year so that the supposed buyer could make a getaway with all 4 consoles. Oh, boxes for GPU. Yeah, I mean, it was all kinds of stuff. Like, yeah, I was just like giving one example, but it was happening with everything, man. It was everything. Yeah, they basically just put something in there that made it feel about the same. Impulse buying, not read what they were buying. Oh, yeah. There was all kinds of scummy stuff going on, dude. It was crazy. Yeah. Scalping not only showcases the greed of those who wish to engage in the reselling process, but it fuels a fiery rage within those who become upset by the act. I believe negativity towards scalpers is entirely deserved. They should certainly not be applauded for their selfishness, but things have clearly escalated too far on both sides when real lives are on the line. Video gaming should be a hobby that, if anything, brings people together. Absolutely. There's a reason why online multiplayer is a paid subscription service on every major console. Greed. That's why. It's greed. There's a reason why online multiplayer is a paid subscription service on every major console. It's because they're greedy. Why isn't it paid on PC? Playing games with others is a huge part of gaming that can unite people. Absolutely. Cooperatively or competitively, even when they're not in the same room. I agree with that, but there's no reason why actually online multiplayer should be part of a paid subscription service, in my opinion, on consoles. That's one of the reasons I have such a significant issue with consoles. PC doesn't need to do it. Why does console have to do it? I don't understand. There's no shame in single player gaming either. That's actually how I spend most of my time with gaming hobby. Video game collection is more along these lines. One person compiling a series of personal treasures as part of their unique collection isn't usually an experience that brings lobbies of people together. It's fun all the same. These collections are formed out of passion for the products, can be an excellent hobby for those who can afford to collect. No excuse for using video games or really any type of entertainment media to tear people apart. Those who scalp should know that their actions not only speak volumes about their character, they are standing against one of the core pillars of the gaming community. Yeah. It is actually terrible. It's horrible. Look, yeah, I agree. Nobody should be threatened with violence over it, but this is what I've talked about the scalping thing before, in that most retailers don't care. If they're making their money, they don't really care, right? So if they're selling their stock, that's all they really care about. And again, shout out to Best Buy, because they did a really good job back whenever this was such a huge issue of trying to make sure that customers were getting the stock that was coming in rather than just a bunch of scalpers. But it's one of the rare occasions where I've seen that happen. And what you would like to see is more of that take place, right? Whether it be a situation like this where, there's just, whenever the pandemic hit and the chip shortage, it was just a really bad storm of things taking place where you couldn't get your hands on anything tech-wise. I mean, dude, they couldn't even make vehicles at the time. We got to a point where there were vehicles in the U.S., I know for a fact, being sold at a price point of what a new, like trucks, dude. Trucks were being sold that were like 10 years old, 200,000 miles on them, being sold for the price of what new trucks were going for. It was insane, just because of the tech issues and everything going on. No chips, and there was wild stuff happening, man, because of this. But on the scalping side of things, it's a terrible issue. I wish that there would be more manufacturers and retailers that would take a stance against it and try to implement ways to prevent it. And especially it still happens constantly. It still happens constantly in the world of gaming whenever limited stock, limited edition stuff happens. Like, recently there's been things like the Tears of the Kingdom limited edition stuff that got out for pre-order. They were gone like that, and it was mostly scalpers, and they're going to sell it for 2 to 3 times what it's worth because they know people will pay for it. The people that are fans of The Legend of Zelda, and that feels bad. That feels bad for the people that are just lovers of that series and just they've got to go pay that much more. It's terrible, man. Good article though. Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventure release date, launch time, and news. Next big Forza Horizon 5 DLC expansion is driving into view. We'll be playing Rally Adventure soon. Available on PC and Xbox tomorrow, so that's today. It's happening. No, it will be tomorrow. This came out on the 28th, so. When is the release date? Wednesday, 29 March. Confirmed by the development team at Playground Games, you will be playing the new rally stages and exploring its map very soon indeed. When exactly it will be available to play, though, check out the details below. 5 p.m. GMT on 29 March. If Steam's countdown timer is to be believed. Can you pre-order? You can pre-order right now. You can get the expansions bundle digitally from Game for £27, including both Rally Adventure and the Hot Wheels expansion. I think is this Game Pass? I don't know. I think so. Or you can get the DLC separately. The Rally Adventure DLC expansion looks to be so big it could have been its own separate game. Brings the new Sierra Nueva map to the game along with 10 new rally cars and 3 rally teams to join. The map features some impressive details as you expect from the series locations, including Pueblo Arza, Green Hills, grab a chili dog, okay, and the Abandoned Quarry. Players can unlock 27 new achievements on Xbox or Steam in the DLC worth 500 gamer score on the former. Bunch of new in-game accolades to earn, rewarding you with thousands of career points as well. 10 new cars. They list them there. Here's the official trailer.
Welcome to Sierra Nueva.
I think we've already seen this, but it's been a while, so when this first got announced, yeah. I'll link this for everybody too, in case you're interested in knowing what all the cars are coming and stuff like that. Yo, I like how you just like blast through trees and they just break into like the forest lumber. What is that about?
Followed by water. Caution all cambered roads, jumps and bumps.
Hairpin right, then hard left.
Don't even think about slowing down. Hope you brought those rally tires.
Isn't this the same developer that's making the new Fable game? I'm pretty sure, right? Here, I'll link this for you guys. If you're interested in all the details that article has to do with the Forza 5 DLC coming out, all right? Steam will ditch Windows 7 and 8 support next year. It says you can blame Google Chrome. If you're reading this on PC running Windows 7, 8, or 8.1, dude, if you're running 8 or 8.1, I'm so sorry that you got stuck on that. I don't know what happened to you in life that made you feel like Windows 8 or 8.1 was the play and that was a good operating system for you to stick with. But I'm so very sorry. Something went wrong. I'm afraid Steam won't work on your computer next year. You liked it? You are so full of it, dude. Get out of here. Valve announced as much today, and it's all because of Google Chrome. The newest features in Steam rely on an embedded version of Google Chrome, which no longer functions on older versions of Windows. Valve's typically curt announcement reads, in addition, future versions of Steam will require Windows feature and security updates only present in Windows 10 and above. If you are running Windows 7 or 8 to play games, you're extremely in the minority. According to Steam's February hardware and software survey, only 0.09% of users run Windows 7, while 1.43% use the 64-bit version. It's less than 0.5% for Windows 8.1 too. Microsoft itself ended support for Windows 7, 8, and 8.1 in January. I thought it was years ago they quit supporting. I thought it was like 2020 they quit supporting 7. Am I tripping? Extended support ended for Windows 7 on January 14th of 2020. I was right. 8 was probably longer, but yeah, I was right. Extended support ended on January 14th of 2020 for Windows 7. Microsoft's advice is recommending that people replace the device with one that supports Windows 11. Meanwhile, because it's just that easy. I know it's not that easy. You're in the 0.09%? Yeah, you are, dude. That doesn't surprise me right there. You're unique, buddy. And that's why we love you. Microsoft itself ended support for Windows 7, 8, and 8.1 in January, so the writing has been on the wall for a while. Microsoft's advice to you, replace with a device with one that supports Windows 11. It's not, just go buy a new device, dude. It's not that easy for everybody. Meanwhile, when Epic dropped Windows 7 and 8 support for Fortnite earlier this month, it recommended that dedicated users of antiquated operating systems use GeForce Now instead. January 1st of next year is the day of doom for Steam on the older Windows versions. All right, so if you are on anything previous to Windows 10, you need to work your way off of it before the end of the year. Okay. PlayStation Plus subscribers are losing 10 games in April. Let's just get down to it. Full list of games that are to be taken away from PS Plus members in April. Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, Marvel Puzzle Quest Dark Reign, The Caligula Effect Overdose, The Wonderful 101 Remastered, Gabuchi, Croilair, Sigma, I probably butchered that. Too Dark, Zenki Zero Last Beginning, EU only. Steins Gate Elite, EU only. And 428 Shibuya Scramble, EU only. So those are leaving. in April. There you go. If you need more here. Switch Online gives some users free access to classic games. So Nintendo is giving some Switch users a free Switch Online trial, which is also giving them free access to classic Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy games. Unfortunately, the free trial does not include the expansion pack add-on, which means Nintendo Switch Online's Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis games are not accessible. Not only is the offer limited to select users, but there are some catches. Firstly, this offer is being made via Nintendo of Europe, thus has only been extended to Switch users in Europe. Second is that the offer is not available to current subscribers, only those who aren't active subscribers. So you can't tack on an additional free 7 days to your pre-existing subscription. The third and final catch is the offer can only be redeemed via My Nintendo until April 2nd. So you got a few days to take advantage of this. At the moment of publishing, it's unclear if this trial is going to be offered to Nintendo Switch users in the US and other regions of the world. Odd, it's limited to Europe right now, but the various regions are separated to an extent and act independently to an extent also. So things like this happen sometimes. If the situation changes, they say that they will update and let us know. So there you go. If you need more out of that, if you're in the EU and you want some free Switch Online content, check it out. Rah Rah Boom is a heartfelt take on the classic beat-em-up genre. At first glance, Rah Rah Boom looks like an energetic brawler with a badass cast of women unleashing fists, kicks, and bullets on waves of robot baddies, each hit punctuated with rainbow-colored explosions as metal body parts sail across the screen. It is absolutely what it looks like, vibrant, energetic, and full of character. But look a little closer, and right alongside the Lisa Frank color palette and the Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic, you'll find a story about a group of young women not just battling robots, but overcoming their own grief and internal struggles in the process. In Rah Rah Boom, the people of Earth have solved climate change with the aid of artificial intelligence. So how did AI solve global warming? Well, by eliminating its most predominant cause, mankind. In an attempt to save the world, humans created an AI that in turn created an army of robots that began to wipe out the human race. So in an attempt to survive, humans fled the planet and began to colonize on spaceships. Despite the growing trend of AI tools making constant headlines in our reality of 2023, Bergman assured me that it was purely coincidental, as production began years prior in 2020. But not all themes were unintentional, specifically grief and personal growth. Gameplay appears as frenetic and action-packed as you'd expect from a modern beat-em-up. Well, the game supports 4 players. I only got the chance to see 2 characters in action at once. Game adds in run and gun mechanics, with Bergman noting some Contra and Metal Slug inspirations. Other inspirations, Castle Crashers, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Streets of Rage 4. Menu screens look like Trapper Keepers, and the upgrade screen features crude hand-drawn images right out of a teen's notebook. Even the UI has that black and white speckled pattern. Wait and see how it manages to balance its hefty themes in a modern-day beat-em-up in fall 2023 for PC. Rah Rah Boom, huh? Let's see here. It's not on here yet. Oh, yeah, there it is. Check it. Man, this is like a throwback to some old school games, isn't it? Jeez, dude. Yeah, Mithril. Bro, I've got original Double Dragon. I've got it on NES, dude. Rah, rah, boom. Cool. There you go. Rah, rah, boom. Ex-BioWare executive producer and Mass Effect team rally to finish Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Hold on, let's make sure that doesn't pop off again. There we go. Yeah, we've known for a while, probably about a half a year now, that this game has been in a finished state, close to that anyways, meaning that the developer had basically come out and told everybody that the game had been front to back finished and that it's given them the chance to just really focus in on trying to polish the game up at this point, right? So, former BioWare executive producer Mark Adara has returned to work on Dragon Age Dreadwolf as a consultant. On top of that, EA said that the Mass Effect team will help with the production of Dragon Age Dreadwolf as the production and polishing tasks ratchet upward. Mass Effect team could do that because the next Mass Effect title is still in the pre-production stage with a small core team working on it, GamesBeat has learned. Yeah, EA has said that Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been in post-production since September, and the team's been hard at work spending lots of time iterating and making it better. Now that the team has the ability to do a complete playthrough, it can iterate and polish on the things that most matter most to fans. EA has previously used other teams to complete other games as the deadline approaches to ship a game. For instance, Criterion helped DICE and other studios ship Battlefield. That's a bad example. I want to talk about a broken game on release. Jesus. Battlefield 2042 was terrible. McKay previously said in a blog post that the Dreadwolf team hit alpha last fall. Yeah, like I said, as development continues, EA is optimizing the team and bolstering it. Yeah, Mithril, good. Good God, could they have used a worse one right there, dude? I mean, I guess they could have, but that's a pretty bad one. Dara was a former developer and executive producer on the Dragon Age titles at BioWare, left the studio along with Casey Hudson in December 2020. Recently, he approached BioWare about returning. Team thought it was an opportunity to bring back a seasoned veteran who was integral to the last 3 Dragon Age games. Dora's focus will center on ensuring the team is connecting this new experience with the legacy of the franchise. Respecting the Dragon Age legacy while sustaining the vision for this beloved franchise is a top priority. Meanwhile, the core Mass Effect team led by Mike Gamble will continue with pre-production work on Mass Effect. Dragon Age Dreadwolf doesn't have a launch date yet. Players are anxious to know when that will be. We've seen a little bit of stuff about Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and it's got a kind of like, I don't know what it's like it's got a bit of a different universe to it. Look, it's like got some it's like a medieval-esque modern fantasy take on. I think it's going to be a bit different than what we've seen some Dragon Age stuff previously. It's a bit different, but yeah, I mean, there's just some reiteration on stuff we already kind of really knew. We knew that this game they had it finished front to back. It's just a bunch of polishing and hopefully they're really working on optimization for all the platforms and making it feel good and polishing it up really nice and getting quality of life items put in and things of that nature, you know. If you want more out of that, I'll link it for you. I'm kind of skipping some of the quotes and stuff in some of these articles, you know. So if you want quotes out of some of these people, then that stuff will be in there. But BioWare finally gives update on Mass Effect 4 release date. We knew it was going to be a while for this, I think, because they're focused on Dragon Age Dreadwolf right now. That's kind of the way these things work. If you were hoping the next Mass Effect game, tentatively dubbed Mass Effect 4 by many and Mass Effect 5 by others, was coming out soon, well, you can let go of this hope. A new update on what's going on over at BioWare has been shared, and while it's primarily focused on the studio's most imminent game, Dragon Age Dreadwolf, it does briefly touch upon the new Mass Effect game also in development. Yeah, we read about all this Dragon Age stuff. So the closer Dragon Age gets to release, the more production and polishing ramps up, which is why the Mass Effect team is brought in. Great news for the Dragon Age game, as it means more resources and polish. Not great news for the new Mass Effect game, though, which has been confirmed to still be in pre-production. In other words, it's still years away from release, as it will presumably need at least a couple years in production and about a year to 18 months in post-production before it's ready to release. I mean, that's the way it goes, right? The entire Mass Effect team isn't moving over to work on the new Dragon Age. A small core team led by Matt Gamble is being left to work on Mass Effect, but it sounds like the game will not be leaving pre-production until the rest of the team returns, presumably after Dragon Age Dreadwolf launches, right? This is usually the case. Dragon Age Dreadwolf probably will not hit until sometime next year, meaning that development ramp up for Mass Effect 4 or the next Mass Effect game in that series is not going to start taking place until that point. Meaning we probably won't see the next Mass Effect game until like 2026, more than likely. So that's just what you need to know. All right. Unreal Engine 5 update adds improvements. Yo, Mithril, thanks for this, buddy. For DX12 PSO caching in order to further minimize stuttering in games. Interesting. So, a new Unreal Engine 5 update aims to further alleviate the bane of immersive gaming stuttering that is caused by asset loading. The System 5.2 update builds upon a pre-caching feature called PSO caching that was added in 5.1 and has been further improved upon. Highlights of the Unreal Engine 5 PSO caching update include system stability improvements. Objects are no longer drawn before PSOs are available, optimizations for the number of pre-cached PSOs, and improvements to the previous manual method of PSO caching, allowing it to be used with the new pre-cache system. A new PSO pre-caching mechanism was introduced as experimental in 5.1 to improve PSO hitching in DX12 titles. That's DirectX 12, by the way, if you didn't know. Improvements to the system in 5.2 include improved performance and stability of the system. There were previous corner cases that needed to be addressed. We now skip drawing objects in their PSOs aren't ready yet. The system aims to have the PSO ready in time for drawing, but it will never be able to guarantee this. When it's late, it is now possible to skip drawing the object instead of waiting for compilation to finish and hitching. The number of PSOs to pre-cache has been reduced due to improved logic that omits ones that will never be used. We've improved the old manual PSO cache system so that it can be used alongside pre-caching. Gamers and game developers are sure to appreciate the ongoing efforts to eliminate game stuttering. While this update will not completely prevent them, it's refreshing to see the Epic engineers continuing to put resources into addressing solutions for it. Who knows, maybe we'll get to a point where one day launches that result in Stutterfest could become a thing of the past at some point, which would be a win-win-win for gamers, developers, and publishers. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's good stuff for sure. I think the one of the biggest issues that plagues us right now, we've read about it a lot, we talk about it a lot, is it's not necessarily just even the engine that's being utilized, right? It's the developer themselves. What they'll do quite often is they'll focus so much on just specific platform for the release, and then before release they'll go, okay, let's port it over. We'll just port it over to the other platforms, or port it over to another platform, and they don't do very much, if any, real quality assurance on that platform they tried to port it to, and it's terrible. So while it's great to see what the engineers are doing here to make things look, I mean, through and through, we've known from the get-go on the release of Unreal Engine 5 that this has been a very intuitive, very nice engine for developers, right? Oh, okay. Oh, nice, dude. Nice. Sick. Great. That's awesome. But not all the responsibility of, not all the blame can be just like placed on the engine itself. I mean, the developer has to be committed to having a process behind every platform they're planning on releasing a title on, and having quality assurance behind it to ensure that the platforms they're going to be releasing their title on, it feels optimized, it feels good and fresh, and that the customer is going to be satisfied with the quality of the software. So while I mean, obviously the engine's being utilized to build the games on and everything is incredibly important, and the technology is coming such a long ways, And again, UE5, even just in its initial public release, was supposed to be just incredible, you know? Yeah, yeah. So it no doubt, you know, it's something to help, but it's not gonna just be a fix all, you know. It's not gonna be a fix all. They're still gonna. I mean, I think that's one of the big things that plagues is it's just it's great. I mean, this is fantastic, you know, but it's not gonna alleviate the need for. I think that's the important thing to point out here. It's not gonna alleviate the need for developers to still have an extensive QA process behind every platform they're releasing the product on to ensure that it's performing well on all those platforms. That's the thing I think is missing all the time. You know, they're like, it is great on this platform. Let's port it over and push it out because if it works great on this one, it'll be fine on the others, right? And that's not the way that works. That's the way it seems anyways. That's the way I keep getting this impression that there are a lot of devs that just do that kind of thing, and they're not testing enough on these other platforms that they just think they can just port over to and push out. It doesn't work like that. But this is great, and hopefully it will make things more intuitive and easy. Because again, you know, I don't think it's easy. That's not what I'm getting at. But it's also not acceptable. You know, I don't think it's easy. I know it's a significant task to take a game that you want to release on multiple platforms and make it run well on all platforms. But if you are committed to releasing on all platforms, you need to be committed to a process that ensures that the game feels just as good on all platforms, not good on some and terrible on others, because that's not acceptable. That's terrible. And so I know that it's not easy, but there needs to be some kind of commitment to pushing out a quality product across the entire spectrum of whatever platforms you want it to be on, you know. But good on them, man. I mean, they're continuing to update Unreal Engine. Thanks, Mithril. I appreciate it, buddy. We are going to prepare to watch this. Yeah. We've got extended gameplay stream coming out for Tears of the Kingdom here in roughly 20 minutes. Yeah. So I'll segue out of this news segment, and we'll take a break before we hit some Warframe gameplay for the day. And then we'll watch this before we hit the Warframe stuff, though, okay? You guys rock, man. I appreciate you. Fantastic news segment. Appreciate it. Again, if anybody ever has anything they want to like contribute to the conversation and the information that we're covering regarding what's going on in the industry and things like that, if anybody has anything they want to try to help Wick with building PCs, feel free, you know, to add into the mix here, you know. So, but honestly, like, I mean, I love having contribution from the community, and I think this is a world that so many of us enjoy so much and we're passionate about, and we like staying up to date and knowing what's going on and fleshing out these different ideas about what's current in video games, you know. So I appreciate you guys very much. We will go ahead and start heading towards the gaming content, which will happen right after we watch this gameplay, quick 10-minute gameplay stream that's going to happen by Nintendo for Tears of the Kingdom. But if anybody out there is checking out this content, or you've seen any of the other stuff, we got all kinds of other content out there on the YouTube channel, VODs of gameplays, lengthy gameplays we've done, or funny clips and highlights that have come out of the gameplay, other news articles we've done, because we do the news article every day. We go live at 6 a.m. every single day, 7 days a week. We start off with our video gaming news segment before we dive into whatever gameplay we have planned for the rest of the day. So if you're enjoying it, see what you can do about coming and hanging out with myself and the rest of these amazing people that are part of our community here whenever we do the streams, man. We'd love to have you, and we have a good time. So other than that, man, just happy Tuesday, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, be kind. And we'll do more news. We'll catch everybody for the next news segment tomorrow on March 29th. All right?